On KCCR, Dylan Simmons on the call here on this Friday afternoon in beautiful Dickinson, North Dakota. And we are just about set for game number 2 between your Pierre Post-8 baseball team and the Dickinson Roughriders. Hot off the heels of game number 1, Pierre won by a score of 1-0. Will Danberg with a complete game shutout. And now Pierre looking to take that and use that in game number 2 to get another victory, sweep the doubleheader for the second straight day, and take advantage of a great couple day set. Pierre comes into this game with a record of 7-5 overall after the win earlier on today. The big question is going to be, what tempo will this game take? If the Pierre Governors baseball season is anything to go by, usually if one game goes one way, then the other game will go the other way. So we saw a defensive masterclass and kind of a pitcher's duel in game 1. Maybe we'll see more of an offensive shootout in game number 2. That remains to be seen, but Dickinson taking the diamond as Jake Balliet makes his way to the mound. He will be the starting pitcher for Dickinson in this game. We're still waiting on a Pierre lineup. We'll try to get that to you as soon as we can, but Balliet's on the mound. Cam Wolf is the first baseman. Camden Kubis is the second baseman. Jack Price is the shortstop. Malachi Medina is at third base. Kevin Olson is in left field. Kyler Krugna is the center fielder. Brady Hecker is the right fielder, and you've got Christian Tibor is the catcher for Dickinson today in this game. Meanwhile, for Pierre, it looks like leading off is going to be Carter Shufflebine. So Shufflebine will get things rolling for Pierre. We know that much here in the early going. And we will, again, get that lineup to you as soon as we can here on this Friday afternoon, as Pierre looks to go 2 for 2 in today's action against Dickinson here on the road at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. So Carter Shufflebine to lead off. Sutton Sunshine will be the man on deck for Pierre to start things off. And of course, Sutton Sunshine ended up getting the lone RBI single for Pierre in game number 2. Was able to really capitalize early on and just get that ball into right field. Gave Pierre just enough clearance to come away with that win after that shot in the top of the 6th. They didn't need anything else, although they did leave a couple runners stranded on base in the 7th. So here we go, game number 2 between Post-8 and the Dickinson Roughriders. We'll get right into it now as the first pitch from Jake Balliet goes a little wide and the count goes to 1-0. We're underway in game 2 as Pierre looks to get the doubleheader sweep for the second day in a row. Fastball comes in for a strike and the count evens at 1-1. A lot to live up to for Jake Balliet in this second game after what Kyler Krugna did pitching-wise in game number 1, as that's fouled back. Count goes to 1-2 for Carter Shufflebine. And again, it'll be Sutton Sunshine who will be on deck for Pierre. Still waiting to get a lineup for Post-8 in this game. We will try to get that for you once the top of the first comes to a close. Count goes to 2-2. Nothing updated on Game Changer on that either, so we'll play it by ear for now. The 2-2 count. And that one goes outside. Good recognition by Carter Shufflebine to not over-pursue that baseball, which can be so easy to do, especially in situations like this. The payoff pitch at 3-2, and that's ball 4. Carter Shufflebine is on to first base with a leadoff walk here in the top half of the first inning. And that is exactly the kind of mistake that doomed Dickinson in game number 1. A costly walk to Grayson Hunsley late in that game sent him on base. He ended up getting all the way to third after a couple of mistakes from the defense of Dickinson. And then Sutton Sunshine brought him home. So one walk can doom you, especially in a low-scoring game. Only time will tell how much that mistake here early on will be magnified. Count goes to 1-0 as Sutton Sunshine's at the plate. Looks like Cooper Terwilliger is going to be on deck. So at least for the first 3 batters, it's going to be the same 3 that started off game number 1. Of course, Terwilliger, another huge piece for Pierre that they always love to have at their disposal. And he's got one of the most explosive bats in the state of South Dakota right now, and maybe the entire Dakota region, as that one is fouled over towards the parking lot. Count goes to 1-1. By the way, I checked the KCCR mobile and there was no damage. So apparently none of the baseballs that flew out of DCB&T hit it, and that is a relief. But we're not out of the woods yet. We got to get through this game as well. Terwilliger didn't have a hit or an RBI in game number 1. Maybe he can change that in game 2. Fly ball to right. Brady Hecker back there, and he makes the easy catch for out number 1. So Cooper Terwilliger, or rather Sutton Sonnenschein, is retired. Now Terwilliger will come to the plate. Terwilliger, the top batting average on the team entering Thursday night. An even 500 on the season. He's such a threat every time he gets up to the plate. Here's a ground ball to third. Throw to second, chance to turn a double play. Throw to first will not be in time, but they do get the out at second on Carter Shufflebein to retire him. 2 away here in the top of the first as Terwilliger reaches first on a fielder's choice. So now with Terwilliger retired, that will send on Ridge Leimbach, who's working as the left fielder in this game. Ridge Leimbach last night had the massive 2-run home run to allow Post State to run away with that baseball game against Spearfish in game number 2. As that pitch is wide, count goes to 1-0 here for Jake Balliet. Runner at first for Post State. Balliet places this one wide and high. Count goes to 2-0. On deck for Post State is going to be the number 10 on the jersey, which would normally be Carter Shufflebein, but again, we don't have the numbers correct today because of the odd jersey alignment. So I'll have to probably wait for the PA announcer to say who that is to know for sure. Count goes to 3-0. Don't want to tell you the wrong name. Know for sure that this was Leimbach, though, because 47 is such an odd number to wear usually on a baseball diamond. Don't see a lot of 47s. Leimbach makes it work. Counts 3-1 here after a 3-0 start for Jake Balliet, who's trying to avoid putting a second man on base in the top of the first. 3-1 pitch. Leimbach lets it go by, and that's ball 4. 2 of the first 4 batters for Pierre have been walked in this top half of the first inning, and now runners on first and second for Pierre. Terwilliger at second, Ridge Leimbach at first. So that'll send on the next man in the order for Pierre after Terwilliger and Leimbach are both able to make it on base. As that pitch is going to go by, count goes to 1-0. Balliet has not pitched this year for Dickinson, so this is his first opportunity to really show his stuff on the mound. Does have experience on the high school circuit as that ball rolls into center field. Almost looked like it bounced off of Terwilliger that time as he was twisting back to second base. Either way, it rolled past his legs, and Terwilliger was already on the ground, so there was no way for him to take advantage of that opportunity. You can hear the wind picking up in the background here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. That pitch is going to be outside, just barely, and the count will be 1-1. Actually, they say it just caught the zone. So the first strike in the at-bat for Jake Balliet, who's just trying to avoid any damage in this frame. This is a comebacker to the mound. Balliet will throw with his left hand to first base, and he gets out number 3. So that retires this side on a 1-3 putout. Pierre puts 2 runners on base via walks, but unable to capitalize. Score 0-0. We'll see the Roughriders up to bat next, back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Are you a farmer in the Highmore area? Do you need a trusted partner for your grain and agronomy needs? Look no further than AgTegra. AgTegra is built on a legacy of farmer-owned cooperatives, providing superior service and relentless innovation for generations. We're committed to your success and the safety of our employees and members. For your grain needs, call Chance Scott at 605-846-1099. And for all your agronomy needs, reach out to Cole Hamlin at 605-871-9572. AgTegra, growing together for generations.
People helping people. Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Welcome back to Post-8 Baseball on KCCR. We are live at the Western Edge, Dickinson, North Dakota. Here today, Dylan Simmons on the call. This is game number 2 between Post-8 and the Dickinson Roughriders with your score 0-0 in game number 2. So far, the pitching for Dickinson has held up with Jake Balliet on the mound. He did put 2 runners on base via walks, but Post-8 unable to capitalize. The man on the mound for Post-8 here in game number 2 is Porter Hunsley, getting his opportunity to show his stuff against a stout Dickinson offense who maybe didn't look as stout in game 1 due to Will Danberg's sensational outing. But we will see if it can convert to game number 2 for Hunsley, or if Dickinson has made the necessary adjustments to put themselves in position to take this game. So to lead off, it's going to be Jack Price, the shortstop for Dickinson. Swings and misses at this one. We'll try to go through the lineup for Pierre defensively. Grayson Hunsley, it looks like, is going to be back on third base as expected. Carter Shufflebine is going to be at shortstop. Hudson Stosher will be at second base, as this is going to be a comebacker right over the mound and into center field. And we got a laid-off single for Jack Price. That's the kind of explosiveness that we'll need Dickinson will need to have as this game progresses forward. Price able to capitalize. That will send on Kyle Krudna, the center fielder. After the hit was delivered by Jack Price, Jake Balliet, the pitcher, will be the next man up, currently on deck for the Roughriders. That pitch comes in for a strike. Count goes to 0-1. Porter Hunsley, thus far on the season, has limited pitching experience, hasn't pitched quite as much as some of the other guys on the Post-8 team, as that's a line shot into right field for a base hit. Kyler Krudna destroying that baseball, moving all the way to third now is Price, and he will get there standing up. Runners in the corners for the Roughriders just like that to start things off in the bottom half of the first inning, and Dickinson looking much more in line with what they were expecting here in game number 2. That one right over the head of the first baseman for Pierre, Cooper Terwilliger, who did what he could to try to get to that baseball, but there was just no way that he was going to be able to bring that one in. And it ends up working out beautifully for the Roughriders, as Jake Balliet, the pitcher, the lefty, will take on the southpaw Porter Hunsley. And he's going to drive one into right center field for a base hit, and a run will easily score as Price just waltzes his way to the plate to put the Roughriders on top by a score of 1-0. The first run scored between the two games for Dickinson, and still runners at first and second for the Roughriders. RBI single for Jake Balliet. So 3 straight singles for the Dickinson Roughriders, and no outs for Porter Hunsley in this Post-8 defense. This is definitely the inverse of the start they had against Dickinson in game number 1, where they were obviously much more dominant and able to capitalize on opponents' mistakes. That has not been the case thus far. Had 2 runners on base in the first inning of offense, and were not able to deliver on it in the top of the first. Weren't able to bring in the runs despite having 2 runners on base. Counts 1-1. Opposite field foul ball here by Brady Hecker. Brings the count to 0-2. Hecker, the right fielder today for Dickinson in game number 2. Didn't get a hit in game number 1 for Dickinson, but he can change that right here as he tries to send one into the 4-3 hole. Stosher's right on top of it, gets it to Terwilliger for 1 out, and nobody's going to come home, but the runners do advance to second and third respectively. Kyle Krudna now at third, and Jake Balliet at second with 1 down here in the bottom half of the first inning. Good work by Cooper Terwilliger to get the out at first, but still runners in scoring position for the Dickinson Roughriders, as it is Cameron Wolf who is the man at the plate now, the first baseman for the Dickinson Roughriders in this game. Trying to do something here against Porter Hunsley, who's been exploited by this Roughriders batting core thus far in this game. It was a quiet game the first time around for Cam Wolf. Ended up with no hits, although he was struck out once by Will Danberg, so it wasn't for lack of trying. Just couldn't get enough leverage on the baseball. Roughriders 6-3 on the season. They suffered their third straight loss of the year in game number 1 today against Pierre, bringing their record to that 6-3 mark. Coming off those 2 losses to Fargo on the road on Tuesday, and bringing that into today's game. Off-speed pitch by Hunsley. Pitch is a little high. Count goes to 3-2. So a payoff pitch on the way for Porter Hunsley, trying to find his way to a strikeout. And it's going to be fouled just barely. Little bit of contact by Wolf. Just enough to get a handle on the baseball and extend this at bat, which against a guy who's shown vulnerability is what you need to do. Swing and a miss here, and a big strikeout, the first of the day for Porter Hunsley. Couldn't have come at a better time with his team and his defense slightly on the ropes. Had to get that kind of strikeout to shift the momentum just a little bit, and he was able to. Malachi Medina will be the next man up as Pierre now has 2 outs on Dickinson here in the bottom of the first, and that one is going to be fouled. Count moves to 0-1 on Medina, who was the last out in the first game against Will Danberg and Post State respectively. Medina playing third base here in game number 2, and he drives one to left center field, racing over and not getting it. Will be Post State. Coming home will not just be 1 but 2 runs, and advancing to second now, trying to on the throw is Medina. He is not going to be able to. He's out, but the 2 runs come home as Medina delivers a 2-run single, and Dickinson now on top 3-2-0 in a huge game-changing bottom of the first. The best the Dickinson offense has looked all day. Post State with a lot of questions to answer. We'll see if they can do so in the top of the second in 1 minute's time, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
People helping people.
Have you ever wondered what the benefits are of becoming a Owyhee Federal Credit Union member? At Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we reinvest profits in you. We do this in the form of lower interest rates, higher dividends, and low to no fees. So come check us out or come in at 221 East Pleasant Drive in Pierre, because at Owyhee Federal Credit Union, we treat our members like they own the place because, well, they do.
Owyhee Federal Credit Union.
Most of us already know that Gales Gas of Pierre is the place to call for propane. They offer an automatic fill plan so you never have to worry about running out of propane. They accept debit and credit payments or a budget payment plan to spread out the cost throughout the year so you never have surprises when you get your bill. For delivery, convenience, and great customer service, call Gales Gas at 224-5518. That's Gales Gas at 224-5518.
Propane and propane accessories. Welcome back to Post State Baseball here on KCCR. That was my attempt at a Hank Hill impression. We've got a 3-0 game as the Dickinson Roughriders are on top of Post State after 1 inning. A 2-run RBI single ending the bottom half of the first off the bat of Malachi Medina, helping to lead to this 3-0 Dickinson lead over Post State. 4 hits for Dickinson in the bottom half of the first, and now Pierre, who's hitless thus far, is going to have to search for answers. We will see if Grayson Hunsley can manage to do just that, as he is the number 6 man in the order and will be leading things off for Pierre in the top half of the second inning. Again, Pierre got no hits against the man on the mound, which is Jake Balliot. Did a really good job of holding Pierre at bay. Hudson Stosher will be following Grayson Hunsley in just a moment. Here's a ground ball to third. Nice pickup by Malachi Medina. Stumbles, throws to first, and he's not going to be able to get there in time. He slipped on his own, and that slight mistake is going to allow Grayson Hunsley to get to first base on what appears to be an E5, at least for the moment. We'll check the official scoring on that in just a second, but for now, it's going to be a man on first base for Pierre and Grayson Hunsley as Hudson Stosher makes his way to the plate. Stosher with number 16 on the jersey. working as the second baseman in this game. With Hunsley at first, they are going to list that officially as an error. Here's a lightly tapped foul ball by Stosher to bring the count to 0-1. Trevor Rounds will be the next man up in the order, the number 8 man in the order and the center fielder today for Pierre, as we're starting to get pieces of that lineup come together. Again, Porter Hunsley's on the mound. Nolan Peterson is rounding out the lineup, it appears, as what would appear to be the catcher for post 8. Trevor Rounds will be on deck after this at-bat from Stosher. Pitch comes in high. Count moves to 1-1. Post 8, 7-5 on the season now. 3 consecutive wins. 2 last night versus Spearfish. Got game number 1 today against the Roughriders, but Dickinson is coming back with the fury of 1,000 Coastal Carolina Chanticleers, who won game number 1 of the College World Series just a few moments ago. Congratulations to CCU on that, and we'll see if they can maybe make another run in the College World Series. This is going to be a foul ball that will land over the head of the first baseman, Cam Wolf, and it evens the count at 2 balls, 2 strikes. Obviously, the College World Series currently taking place down in Omaha. We'll have coverage of the College World Series right here on KCCR, by the way, so make sure to stay tuned for that when the time comes. Also, you're home for all things Stanley Cup Final and NBA Finals right here in the Capital City area. 2-2. Oh, and a hit by pitch on Hudson Stosher. It's a backstabber that got him right between the numbers, and that puts a man on base for the second time in this inning for Pierre. Hunsley reaching on an E5, and now Hudson Stosher on a hit by pitch. Still no outs in the top of the second. Trevor Rounds to the plate. He'll be followed by Nolan Peterson, but these are the kind of breaks that Pierre needs to see more of against Jake Balliot, who got off to a great start, but maybe losing the handle just a little bit here in the top half of the second inning. Again, Balliot does not have a lot of experience as a pitcher thus far this season, as he'll throw back to second. Able to quickly retreat to the bag was Grayson Hunsley, and that lack of experience could come back to hurt Balliot to some degree. Did not have a single inning pitched in 2025 as far as Legion baseball goes before today, sliding just barely back to the second base bag was Grayson Hunsley. Really had to work that time as the throw from the catcher Christian Tibor came in a hurry. Counts 1-0. Both catchers in this game have done a good job so far. Game number 1 catchers were fantastic as well. They're making it hard on these base runners right now. Makes you second guess for just a little bit, and that hesitation is exactly what these teams are hoping to exploit. Counts 2-0, 3-0 lead for the Dickinson Roughriders here at home. Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark, home of the Badlands Big Sticks as well. Dickinson State Blue Hawks also play here for college baseball on the NAIA level. Bunt shown by Pierre. Throw on to third is going to be in time to get the lead runner. So Grayson Hunsley is retired. Hudson Stosher moves on to second. Trevor Rounds reaches on a fielder's choice off that swinging bunt to first. But that's an important first out in the top of the second. As a man's retired, Nolan Peterson will be the next man to the plate, as Grayson Hunsley has to head back to the dugout in a bit of a disappointing fashion. We'll see if Peterson can somewhat make up for that. Runners on first and second. Pierre still looking for their first hit of this game. Pitch is outside. Count moves to 1-0. Peterson, the number 9 hole hitter. Carter Shufflebine is on deck. We know how dangerous that top of the Pierre order can be if given half a chance. We saw it yesterday against Spearfish, as that pitch is going to be a little bit outside, it appears, but it ends up working out for the strike. Count goes to 1-1. Just one error so far coming from Dickinson, and that one was swung and missed at by Nolan Peterson. May have been fouled, actually. Either way, the count goes to 1-2, but you could hear the contact as it caught his bat. Looked like it hit the ground from our vantage point. 1-2 pitch. Here's a liner out to left center field, and it goes off the glove of Krudna. Coming around for post 8 and stopping at third base is Hudson Stosher. Now runners at first, second, and third. Base is juiced for Pierre. Almost shocked that Stosher ended up not being able to come around and score on that, but it's a big single for Nolan Peterson. Base is loaded for post 8, down by 3 runs, and now the leading run with 1 out is currently at home plate. So a big shift for Pierre. Carter Shufflebein with an opportunity to really turn this game upside down. That pitch comes in high from Jake Balliet, and the count goes to 1-0. Got off to a great start in the first inning, but post 8 is making life tough on him in the second. This ball slapped foul by Shufflebein, and that'll even the count at 1 ball, 1 strike. Post 8, of course, entering today with a .287 average, 5.36 team earned run average. Last year, a .249 average overall, and they've been steadily improving on last year's win total and averages this season. You've been able to see that game after game right here on KCCR. It's been a true joy to watch this team improve more and more. Got off to the tough start in the doubleheader against Brookings. Able to rebound and find form against Sioux Falls East. Here is a looping shot that is caught by the right fielder, Hecker, coming home, tagging and scoring. No, out. They're going to say out at home plate is Hudson Stosher. Thought for sure he made it, but they said that Christian Tibor was able to tag him in time. Brady Hecker with a great throw from right field, and Pierre comes up empty. Despite having 1 out and the bases loaded, score remains 3-0 Dickinson. What a turn of events. Back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping wants to make it easy for you to get that lush green lawn and that yard haven that you've been dreaming of. Visit dakotasprinkler.com to make appointments for sprinkler system spring startup, service calls, fall winterization, and landscaping quotes. Trust Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping's professionals to get you through the planning and installation to make your landscaping needs a reality. Visit dakotasprinkler.com today.
Hey you. Are you at a job that is fulfilling, has good benefits to support you or a family today, and retirement goes down the road? If you just said no, listen up. CHS River Plains is hiring operations personnel, drivers, and custom applicators at several locations. These come with a knockout affordable benefit package for you and the whole family. Apply to a job with CHS River Plains and up your benefits straight up. To apply, visit us online at chsriverplains.com or stop in at one of our locations. CHS is an equal opportunity employer.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Dylan Simmons on the call. Your 8's down 3-0 to the Dickinson Roughriders after 1.5 innings of play. Roughriders with a chance to add to their lead, as it'll be Kevin Olson who will make his way to the plate to start things off in the bottom of the second. A little bit of a difficult inning to start for Porter Hunsley in the bottom of the first. Gave up 3 earned runs and a total of 4 hits, but everyone can have a bad frame at some point in time. We saw Braden Hollett have a very similar situation last night against Spearfish in game number 2. Ended up coming back to not allow a single run the rest of the way, as the count's going to move to 0-1 for now. Not that it was 0-2 initially. Olson will send this one over to towards the parking lot. Now it is definitely 0-2 for Dickinson. Roughriders fans have made the trip out to DCB&T on this Friday afternoon. It's a great day for some baseball, even with the chillier weather and 50-degree feels-like temperature. It's always a good time for baseball in the Dakotas. Here's a ground ball that gets just through, and they're going to say foul at the last second. Looked like it may be fair. It went to the left of Hunsley, Grayson Hunsley that is, but they ruled that it was just wide of the bag. So the count's going to stay at 0-2. Would have been a heck of a shot for Kevin Olson, but just couldn't squeeze that one in there. Olson sends a ball popped up into the infield, and it sits down for a base hit. took a really odd looping motion. The second baseman, Hudson Stosher, tried to catch up with it, and he just didn't have time to, kind of misplayed it, and it works out for Kevin Olson. He's on with a single to start things off in the bottom half of the second. So Christian Tibor will be the next man up. Apologize for mispronouncing his name. I got it written down oddly on my scorebook, which happens from time to time. Here's a ball fouled on the bunt attempt by Christian Tibor. Sent it just to the right of the line. Brings the count to 0-1. Runner at first again for the Dickinson Roughriders. It's been a familiar situation in game number 2 so far. They've been in control and dominant for the most part. The only thing Pierre really has outdone them in thus far is their error total. Dickinson does have 1, Pierre with none so far. Another bunt laid down right in front of Hunsley. Hunsley throws on to first, and Porter Hunsley able to get the out on Christian Tibor. So a 1-3 put out, but it does its job and advances Kevin Olson to second with 1 down in the bottom of the second, which was the desired result. Camden Kubis will be the next man up to the plate. Number 9 hole hitter. He'll have Jack Price to follow, who started the hitting barrage for Dickinson in the top half, or rather bottom half of the first inning. As the count goes to 1-0 on the curveball by Hunsley, a little bit low. He's been throwing in a good mixture of breaking balls and fastballs in this game. Gonna go back to the fastball here, places it outside, and the count will be 2-0 for Camden Kubis, who's made some great defensive plays today. In game number 1, he showed out from a defensive perspective, held Pierre at bay and took away what should have been a couple of surefire hits with his incredible dexterity and movement in the infield. Kubis thus far on the season with a batting average of .222, lets that pitch go by for a strike. 4 total hits, as well as 3 RBIs on the season. Count 3-1. And a swing and a miss here. Good stuff from Porter Hunsley and a chance for a massive strikeout. Biggest thing it would do was hold the runner at second base in Kevin Olson. Make sure he doesn't get any further than what he is right now. Here's the ball hit sky high. Trevor Rounds is camping underneath it. Has to move up just a bit, but makes the catch on the run for out number 2. And that is a big out for Pierre here in this bottom half of the second. Again, it holds Olson at second, doesn't let him get any further down the line. Trevor Rounds with great awareness to chase down that baseball as it was hanging in midair for what seemed like forever. So after Kubis flies out to center, it'll send on Jack Price, who's got a single in this game in his first at-bat that set the tempo for Dickinson in this one. Counts 1-0. Hunsley slowing things down, taking his time, mainly keeping a close eye at Kevin Olson over at second base, making sure he doesn't try to advance to third under any circumstance, even though it seems like he wants to. He's got a pretty big leadoff. There's a strike for Porter Hunsley. Count goes to 1-1. And you got to give credit to River Iverson and this coaching staff for not giving up on Hunsley yet, even after the tough start in the first inning. They've shown faith and believed in his resiliency, and he's rewarded them with it so far in this bottom half of the second. Count is quickly, though, at 3-1. He's in danger of putting another runner on base in Jack Price. Ground ball to third. Grayson Hunsley right there. Throws on to first for a 5-3. So good stuff for Porter Hunsley and the Pierre defense in the bottom half of the second. They strand a runner on base, and we move on to the top of the third with your score still Dickinson 3, Pierre 0. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Larry Fry Heating and Cooling has a new name. Kruger Climate Systems has acquired Larry Fry Heating and Cooling but it's still the same great service. Your friend Larry Fry is still a manager, and his dedication to providing you with outstanding service remains unwavering. The same quality products and services you have come to expect from Larry Fry Heating and Cooling will continue under the new leadership of Kruger Climate Systems. You can still reach us at 605-224-9548 or email us at ryan@krugercontracting.com. Kruger Climate Systems, your certified Trane and Mitsubishi dealer in Central South Dakota.
Step up to the plate with Kathy Sunshine Properties in Pierre, your go-to for buying, selling, and finding your perfect home. Whether you're looking for a cozy cottage or a spacious family home, Kathy Sunshine Properties has you covered. We're committed to helping you make your next big move, on the field or in your life. Ready to find your dream home? Call Kathy Sunshine Properties at 605-224-5588. Your home run in real estate.
Welcome back to Pierre Post-State Baseball on KCCR. Dylan Simmons with you as we've reached the top half of the third inning. Your Eights down 3-0 to the Dickinson Roughriders. Dickinson able to get 3 runs in the bottom half of the first against Porter Hunsley and company. Good stuff from Porter Hunsley in the bottom of the second, though, to hold Dickinson at bay and keep the score at what it is. Now Jake Balliot and his defensive crew have to step up and try to hold Pierre at bay as they look to mount a comeback. And they'll have a pretty big test to start things off. Sutton Sunshine, the number 2 man in the order, will be leading off in this top of the third, to be followed by Cooper Terwilliger and Ridge Leimbach. Leimbach did reach on a walk in his first plate appearance of the game. Sutton Sunshine got the lone RBI single in game number 1, and he flew out to right in his first at-bat in this game. Let's see what he can do. Here's a high chopper. It goes past the third baseman into the glove of the shortstop, who gets it on to first for a 6-3 putout. Nice work by Jack Price, able to retire Sutton Sunshine on a 6-3.
Number 27, Cooper Terwilliger.
So Cooper Terwilliger is the next man up. The fielder's choice sent him to first base last time up. Remember, Carter Schuffelbein forced a walk in his first plate appearance to allow Terwilliger to get on base. As the count goes to 0-1 here, Terwilliger always a threat. Anytime he steps into the batter's box, he'll foul this one over the net, out of play, and towards Main Street here in Dickinson. Count goes to 0-2. Ballpark not in downtown Dickinson, of course. It's out towards the edge of town, but it's a beautiful seating part of the area. Terwilliger swung and missed at an inside pitch. That's one that he'll probably want back. It was low, and I don't think there was any way it was going to be in the strike zone. But Terwilliger went for it and paid the price. Out 2, and a big strikeout for Jake Balliot. So Ridge Leimbach will be the next man up. That is the first strikeout for Balliot in this game. Leimbach trying to get on base for the second time after forcing a walk in his first AB. Counts 1-0. Leimbach drives one high and deep to left center field, and it goes out of the glove of Kyler Kudna. And it's going to be a single for Ridge Leimbach, as he almost drove that one out of the ballpark. The deepest shot we've seen today, bar none, for Post-State. Leimbach on base for the second time in game number 2, doing what he does best, delivering deep shots into the outfield. Will Danberg will be the next man up, who grounded out to the pitcher his last time through the order. Danberg not usually used as a batter in these situations, but he will be used on occasion this season, as he is right now, and can be relied on as that pitch gets by the catcher, and Leimbach will make his way easily to second base. So a mistake for the catcher, Christian Tibor, unable to come up with that baseball. Count goes to 1-0. A little bit of a low pitch, though, in all fairness, by Jake Balliot. And that delivery ends up going inside. Count goes to 2-0 for Balliot. Grayson Hunsley currently on deck for Pierre with 2 outs. Pierre trying to score their first run in game number 2. And just their second run between these 2 doubleheader games today. After scoring 13 and 15 runs respectively last night against Spearfish. It's been somewhat of a different story here in game number 2. And really all day against Dickinson. Here's a throwback to second. Lineback is going to escape as that ball goes into center field. So a miscalculated throw by Christian Tibor sends the first run representative for Pierre all the way into the hot corner. And the count now at 3-0. So a really troublesome spot for Jake Balliot and company. Tibor tried to throw that one to Jack Price and catch Lineback off guard, but Ridge and his experience paying off in a huge way. Count 3-0 and make it 4-0. Ball 4 and on to first will be Will Danberg. So 2 straight men on base for Pierre. Perhaps Ridge Lineback has, in a way, opened the floodgates. We'll find that out as the inning continues. Grayson Hunsley, the next man up, reached on an E5 in his first time through the order. But as I was mentioning before the walk, Pierre last night had such a dominant offense. It's been the pitching that has taken charge here today. Sometimes you need that in these situations, and it's kind of the fun thing about Post 8. They don't really have a definitive strength or weakness. They've had just good games and bad games, and there are certain people you can always rely on, and certain times where you may get surprised by the result, but you don't have to worry or overextend yourself trying to fix one thing, which is very important. You can just work on everything equally, which, if you have a well-rounded team, can be dangerous once the postseason comes around. Counts 1-1, and the pitch once again gets away from the catcher Tibor. So moving on to second on that wild pitch will be Will Danberg. So Danberg now in scoring position along with Ridge Lineback, and the count at 2-1 for Grayson Hunsley. Opportunity is knocking for Pierre. The tying run is currently at home plate. Ground ball to short. Should be an easy throw to first, and Price able to rocket it there to Cam Wolf for out number 3, and that keeps the score at 3-0. Pierre unable to cash in. They leave 2 runners stranded on base. And again, Roughriders in control here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. We'll be back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Don't go anywhere.
AGE Corporation has been building South Dakota for over 60 years. For all your site work, construction, and crane needs, AGE is there for you. If you need a boat dock and dock lighting, AGE has what you need. Visit their website, agecorp.com, or give them a call at 223-2732. AGE Corporation, providing high-quality services without sacrificing safety. Visit agecorp.com or call 223-2732.
As community bankers, BankWest employees are deeply committed to supporting local causes, growing the local economy, and creating local opportunities. At a time when you can bank anywhere, we hope you choose BankWest. We'll be your financial partner for the long haul, helping you and your community achieve financial success. BankWest. Convenient, connected, committed. Member FDIC.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR. This is Dylan Simmons on the call as we've reached the bottom half of the 3rd inning between Pierre Post 8 and the Dickinson Roughriders. Dickinson on top by a score of 3-0. Taking it to Porter Hunsley and company right now. Hunsley still on the mound as this ball is sent sky high into the infield. Who wants it? Terwilliger camps underneath it and makes the catch as he extends out his left arm for out 1. Good work by Terwilliger to locate that baseball, and that play was a great example of communication and just how important it is. He had a lot of players chasing after it, but Terwilliger raising his voice saying, "I've got it," and indeed he did. So the ball popped up by Kyler Krudna. It sends on Jake Balliot, who watches this pitch go by for a strike. As it seems as though Porter Hunsley is settling in more and more as this game progresses. Count goes to 0-1. Balliot did have a single his first time up in this game. One of the 5 hits that Dickinson has managed so far. That pitch is going to be a little bit outside. Count moves to 1-1 for the Roughriders. Again, Grayson Hunsley getting some of his first pitching experience of the season. Ground ball rocketed past first base, past Terwilliger, and it's going to be a single for Jake Balliot. He's 2 for 2 now on the day, as he really did rocket that one right past Cooper Terwilliger. It just barely squeezed its way inside the first base line, and a runner aboard for the Riders. Brady Hecker will be the next man up. A heck of a player, no pun intended, for the Dickinson Rough Riders, and he drives one deep to left. It's going to be fouled out towards the Badlands Big Sticks warehouse. Count goes to 0-1. Hecker, one of the power batters for Dickinson, along with Jake Balliet. And you got those guys back-to-back in the order. Can create for some massive damage. Uh-oh, caught in a rundown is Balliet, and it's going to be a balk. It's a balk call on Porter Hunsley, who stepped off of the rubber, keeping a close eye on Jake Balliet, and ended up paying the price for it. So it looked like Balliet may get caught in no man's land, but instead it's Hunsley who makes the mistake, and it's a costly one. A runner in scoring position now in Balliet as he sends this pitch well outside. Good work by Nolan Peterson just to keep that ball in front of him, moving the count to 1-1. Remember, stay tuned after the conclusion of this game. We'll have post-game coverage right here on KCCR and recap everything that happened in game number 2. This one driven back to center. Rounds is there. Kemp's underneath it for out 2. He's going to throw on to third, and a heck of a throw by Trevor Rounds to keep his man, Jake Balliet, over at second base. So that was a tremendous throw. 2 away now in the bottom half of the third, and a tough break for Balliet, who was really looking for third base and looked like he had the speed to get there, but the throw from Rounds was just too good to beat. So Cam Wolf will be the next man up, struck out swinging in his first at-bat. Runner at second for Dickinson. Hunsley fires in the fastball. Count is going to go to 0-1 as he placed in the strike perfectly on the inside part of the plate. Keeping a close eye at second. This ball rocketed to center. Fly ball to Rounds will be caught, and that's out number 3. So one single from Jake Balliet, but that's all the Riders manage here in the bottom half of the third. We're on to the top of the fourth with your score still. Dickinson 3, Pierre 0. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Are you a farmer in the Highmore area? Do you need a trusted partner for your grain and agronomy needs? Look no further than AgTegra. AgTegra is built on a legacy of farmer-owned cooperatives, providing superior service and relentless innovation for generations. We're committed to your success and the safety of our employees and members. For your grain needs, call Chance Scott at 605-846-1099. And for all your agronomy needs, reach out to Cole Hamlin at 605-871-9572. AgTegra, growing together for generations.
Hello, I'm Pastor Jeff Lathrop of Pierre First United Methodist Church, and I'd like to invite you to join us in person for worship on Sunday mornings at 8:30 a.m. or 11 a.m. You can also join us on Facebook Live or on KCCR 1240 a.m. or 98.9 FM for our Sunday morning broadcast at 11 a.m. Come worship with us at First United Methodist Church, where you will find open hearts, open minds, and open doors.
Welcome back to Post-Day Baseball on KCCR. Your scoreboard today, courtesy of the American Family Insurance Brittany Shuffle Buying Agency. We thank Brittany and American Family Insurance for sponsoring our scoreboard each and every game. You know, there's one thing that Post-State struggled with last year. It was the amount of runs they gave up. They gave up a total of 10-plus runs or more in games last year in a total of 19 games, or rather 13 of the 40 games. They scored that 7 times last year, but when you're giving up that many runs, it really makes life hard to compete, especially in a state with as competitive baseball as South Dakota has. But this year, the defense has been a lot better overall. They've had some stinkers here and there, but they have managed for the most part to keep most of the offenses they faced at bay with some tremendous starting pitching and arguably even better bullpen relief. But they haven't had to go to the bullpen a lot because the starting pitchers have been so good. But it's not about them right now. It's about the Pierre bats who have been held silent so far against Jake Balliet and company for the Dickinson Roughriders. Count goes to 1-0 as the man at the plate for Pierre is Hudson Stosher. Reached on a hit-by pitch his first time up against Balliet. Reaching the midway point here in game number 2. Dickinson trying to get a big win and break what is currently a 3-game losing streak against Post 8 baseball. That goes to the outside. 3-game losing streak overall as well this season for the Dickinson Roughriders after a 6-0 start. Lost a couple to Fargo earlier this week on the road. The 1-1, bunt laid down and fouled. And that'll move the count to 1-2 for Hudson Stosher, who has been improving a lot when it comes to the offensive side of the baseball. He was mostly used as a reliever for the Pierre Governors this past baseball season, but has improved tremendously on both sides of the baseball as of late. And it's netted him some starts at second base as of late in Legion baseball action. Counts 2-2. Balliet will deliver a fastball, and that one was foul. Looked like it may have even went off the pad of the catcher, Christian Tibor, or actually the umpire, I believe, may have grabbed his face mask. Count goes to 3-2, but everyone's okay, and that's good to see. Payoff pitch coming up for Hudson Stosher. Here's the 3-2. Oh, and it got him again on the lower left side of his chest. And he moves on to first base for the second straight time on a hit-by pitch. You don't see that every day. So back on base is Hudson Stosher, but he's going to have a couple of extra welts tomorrow after these last 2 at-bats he's had to deal with. Had the hit-by pitch his first time up, and he replicates that feat the second time up. But it's a way to get on base, and sometimes you got to wear it. Trevor Rounds will lay down a bunt trying to advance Stosher. Here's the throw. Balliet put it high, but it was still brought in by Cam Wolf. Nice job by Wolf to hold on to that baseball in what could have been a disastrous play. But the swinging bunt does its job, and it sends Hudson Stosher on to second. He's now in scoring position as Trevor Rounds is retired. One away in the top of the fourth. That'll send on Trevor Rounds, who reached on a fielder's choice last time up. No count, one away. Hudson Stosher in scoring position for Post 8. Trying to come back and win this one. They had a similar situation against Spearfish last night in Game 2. Ended up working out just fine for them. Here's a ground ball through the 5-6 hole for a base hit. Nicely done by Trevor Rounds. And moving on to third is Hudson Stosher. And now Pierre with runners in the corners. Check it, that's actually Nolan Peterson who got that single. Don't know why I said Rounds, but Peterson now with 2 singles in a row in this game. After Rounds was retired, now runners in the corners for Post 8 as Carter Shufflebein makes his way to the plate. With just 1 out, Pierre is certainly in position to do some damage now. Shufflebein flew out to right his last time up, and the catcher, Christian Tibor, really has to keep the ball in front of him now. He's had issues with that with some of these pitches from Jake Balliet, and it just makes his life tougher when you've got runners on base who are itching to come home. 1-0 count, and he brings that one in. It just painted the top of the right corner. Count goes to 1-1. Good pitch by Jake Balliet, and you hear some of the wind picking up in the background here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark as it's picking up here in western North Dakota. Runner goes to second, and sliding in and taking it easily will be Nolan Peterson. So now Pierre with 2 runners in scoring position and just 1 out as the count moves to 2-1 for Carter Shufflebein. And much like we talked about before with this at-bat, this is maybe the best opportunity Pierre's had to put some runs on the scoreboard in this game. They capitalized on their lone chance in Game 1 with Sutton Sunshine. Now they've got to look to do that at the midway point in game number 2. They've had runners on base before in this game, but haven't been able to deliver. Maybe Shufflebein can change that. Instead, it's going to be a ball that gets past the pitcher coming home, and scoring is Hudson Stosher, and Pierre gets on the scoreboard as it was an easy call for Shufflebein to take off. Stosher did the rest. Runners at first and third for Pierre on another wild pitch by Jake Balliet, and it's costing Dickinson here in this top of the fourth. Pierre on the scoreboard in an unorthodox manner, but they'll still take it. Now Sutton Sunshine makes his way to the plate with 1 away and runners in the corners for Post 8. So it's Hudson Stosher who scores the first run of the game. Nolan Peterson now at third. Shuffleby now at first. He's moving to second. Here's the double steal attempt by Pierre, sliding and out at home plate is Nolan Peterson. Great work by Dickinson to pick up on the double steal attempt. Pierre used that to great effect last night against Spearfish. Worked a couple of times, but Dickinson not so easily fooled. That's now 2 outs here in the top half of the fourth inning. And Sutton Sunshine now with just 1 runner on base and Carter Shufflebine over at second. As there will be a brief discussion between shortstop and pitcher here in this late stage at the top of the fourth inning. So Post State does have a run on the board, but they've had a couple of opportunities now go awry in this frame, and that's going to sting, especially if they can't send at least one more run home here. Sunshine with a 1-0, and he lets it go by. It's in there for a strike. Count goes to 1-1. The strike zone has been very wide for Jake Balliot in this game. The home plate umpire is giving him a lot to work with, and he's making the most of his opportunity right now. The 1-1 pitch, and that one is no doubt inside for ball number 2. Count moves to 2-1 for the Dickinson Roughriders on Sutton Sunshine. Again, the lone RBI for Pierre thus far in both of the 2 games combined as that pitch hops off the plate. Now moving all the way on to third and thinking about going home for a second was Carter Shufflebine as that ball rolled all the way close to the Pierre dugout. But Shufflebine thought smartly and decided to stay in the hot corner. But now the second run for Pierre is 90 feet away from home plate. Count at 3-1 as the Dickinson Roughriders have a quick conversation between pitcher and first baseman. Showing 2 runs on the board for Post 8. I'm not sure exactly why that would be the case. We'll clarify that for you. And now they do fix it back to 3-1. So right the first time. Here's a line shot that's going to get down into left center field. And a run comes home for Post 8. Sunshine doesn't put on the brakes. He's going to slide his way into second with a huge RBI double. He's the only Post 8 player to manage an RBI in today's doubleheader, and now he's got 2 of them. What a job by Sutton Sunshine to drive that one deep into left center field. Gap hitting is so important for Post 8 baseball to succeed. They've needed it this year. It's been their biggest asset, and Sutton Sunshine just delivered in a huge way. Massive RBI double, and now we've got a different kind of game. Here's a ground ball from Cooper Terwilliger right to the third baseman Medina. Gets it over to Cam Wolf, and that will do it for this top half of the fourth inning. But it's a big one. Pierre puts 2 runs on the scoreboard. Hudson Stosher comes home on a wild pitch, and Sutton Sunshine is delivering the sunshine to Dickinson, North Dakota with another RBI double in this frame. We've got a 1-run ball game heading to the bottom of the fourth right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
When you're in town for the big game, why not stay where the view is just as great as the action? American and Fort Pierce sits right on the river, offering beautiful scenery, relaxing comfort, and easy access to the ballpark. After a day at the Diamond, there's nothing better than unwinding by the water, and the American always hits it out of the park. Stay by the river. Stay in comfort. Call 605-223-2358 to book your room today. American, where the river meets relaxation. Step up to the plate with Overhead Door Company of Pierre. Like your favorite team, we deliver reliability, strength, and top-notch performance. For over 100 years, Overhead Door has been the most respected name in the industry. From commercial or residential repairs to full upgrades, our team of technicians stand ready to provide winning results. Don't let a faulty garage door strike you out. Look for the signature red ribbon and call the industry MVP at 605-224-6200. Bring your garage door game to the big leagues.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We've reached the bottom half of the fourth inning, and the American Family Insurance Brittany Shufflebine scoreboard was lit up by the Post 8 Bats in the top half of the fourth inning just a second ago, capped off by a Sutton Sunshine RBI double to bring this to a 1-run game. And the crazy thing about it is Pierre could just as easily tie the game, had a couple of gaffes as far as base running is concerned that cost them that chance, but even still, they're able to make this a much different game after that top of the fourth. Count is 1-1 for Malachi Medina, the man at the plate, who was able to get the last out against Pierre in the top of the fourth, and there's that wind picking up once again in Dickinson. It's not a super ferocious wind, but there is some bite to the gust right now. Again, it feels like it's in the mid-50s here in Dickinson today. A very unseasonably colder day, even this far north. Meanwhile, back in the capital city right now, you're sitting at 71, so a little bit better. Looks like it is partly sunny there as well. And that's going to be a walk issued to Malachi Medina. So leadoff walk issued by Porter Hunsley on Medina. Not the way you want to start here in the bottom of the fourth, especially when you just grabbed some momentum back. Kevin Olson will be the next man up. His second at-bat of the game on the way. Got a single in his first AB in game number 2. Did not play in game number 1 for Dickinson, as that pitch is going to get away from the catcher Nolan Peterson, and sliding into second is Malachi Medina with a stolen base. So a runner now in scoring position for Dickinson, and it's been small mistakes like that that have cost Pierre at junctures in this game, especially in that first inning when they gave up the 3 runs. This ball skied out to the left side. The shortstop Shovelbein camps underneath it and gets it in the infield for out number 1. So easy pickings for Carter Shovelbein. Always simple and routine to get those easy outs, but you take them any way you can get them, trust me. In that situation, you don't take those easy outs for granted. So Kevin Olson pops that one up. Christian Tibor is the next man up with 1 away and a runner on second base. That pitch is high. Count moves to 1-0. Christian Tibor entering today with a .333 average and 800 OPS. .333 slugging percentage. Fouling this one back. 4 total hits, 4 RBIs, 2 runs, and 2 strikeouts on the year. Hasn't seen as much action as some of his contemporaries, but he's still obviously a valued member of this team and does a lot of good things for the Roughriders, especially when he gets in a groove. Dickinson would love to have that happen right here. Here's an opposite field fly ball that is going to land right in the right side of right field. A lot of rights right there, and they make a right for Christian Tibor, able to get a single, and advancing all the way to third is Malachi Medina. So runners in the corners for the Dickinson Roughriders after that single for Tibor, his first hit of either of the 2 games thus far, and just 1 away. Sends on Camden Kubis, who thus far in the game has flown out to center. Kubis with his second at-bat coming up, and Dickinson, who was maybe a little down and out after giving up those 2 runs in the top of the fourth, have had their fortunes change in a hurry all of a sudden. Here's a fly ball to right. This should bring in a run. Olson is going to tag from third and come home. The throw is not going to make it in time. Medina slides in safe, and it's a 4-2 baseball game. RBI sacrifice fly for Camden Kubis. So that makes it a 4-2 baseball game with Dickinson on top. Runner at first now for the Roughriders only. With 2 away, it sends on Jack Price, the shortstop. Nice sac fly from Camden Kubis and good awareness of the situation. Here's a throw to second. Not going to be in time, and stealing second base will be Christian Tibor. So just like that, a runner in scoring position for the Dickinson Roughriders at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. Even more crowded than it was earlier on in this game. A lot of fans have made their way out. Here's a fly ball to right. Sutton Sun and Shine camping underneath it. In front of the warning track, makes the catch. That is out 3. But the Roughriders do play to run, as it's Camden Kubis with an RBI sacrifice fly, bringing home Kevin Olson. And your score here in Dickinson is 4-2. Roughriders on top. Back in 1 minute, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Is your roof ready for the next South Dakota storm? Don't wait till it's too late. For over 25 years, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction has been serving Central South Dakota with quality roofing and construction. He has now added gutters. We offer dependable service, guaranteed workmanship, and no unnecessary flash or fuss. Just reliable protection for your home. Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction. Experience you can trust. Call today, 605-280-8133. Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, serving Central South Dakota for over 25 years. Look, it's no secret that owning a vehicle can cause a lot of stress, and they get a lot of wear and tear on them through the extreme seasons we've grown to love. Graham Tire wants you to know that you can trust them with any problem that you have with your vehicle. Their ASE certified mechanics can make your AC cool again, or even just change your oil. They can look into and fix those noises that seem to come from nowhere and have you stressed out. Bring your car to Graham Tire so they can put your mind at ease. Graham Tire, your tire store next door.
Welcome back to Post-Day Baseball on KCCR. We've got a new pitcher on the mound for the Dickinson Roughriders, Christian Tibor, making his way to the mound for the first time in this game. So Jake Balliott's day comes to an end. Not a bad day, all things considered, but after giving up those 2 runs in the top of the 4th, Roughriders coaching staff not wanting to take any chances, which you can understand with the way that this game is maybe starting to turn just a little bit in Pierre's favor. Better safe than sorry. So Balliott will end his day with 2 innings pitched, 2 earned runs, or rather 3 innings pitched, 2 walks given up, 2 hits. Price has also pitched an inning, which came earlier on in the 4th. So that one I don't believe was announced, so apologies for that. But regardless, Christian Tibor is the man on the mound for the Dickinson Roughriders, and now Pierre will send on Ridge Leimbach to the plate for his 3rd at-bat of the game. As post-8 down 4-2-2. So now we'll see what Tibor can do in this situation.
Left fielder, number 47, Ridge Leimbach.
Ridge Leimbach, thus far in this game, has forced a walk and got a single in his last at-bat. 6 total hits for Dickinson in this game, just 2 for Pierre, and yet it remains a 4-2 baseball game. So a lot could potentially take place here late in this one as Pierre looks to wrest back control. Here's a chopper left side, picked up by the shortstop, and this will be an easy throw for Jack Price to first base. Gets the 6-3, and that's 1 down just like that. So out number 1 on Leimbach, one of the most dangerous hitters on Pierre. Rather rudimentary for Christian Tibor. So far, so good. Will Danberg will be the next man up, forced to walk in his last at-bat. And he lets that one go by. Count goes to 1-0. Danberg will be followed by Grayson Hunsley, who has reached on an E5 and also grounded out to short in this game. Post-8, as I said before, just with the 2 total hits in game number 2, but they've capitalized when the situation is called for it, and that's been the biggest thing. Pierre are very much opportunist. They don't score the most runs, but they take advantage of the situation when they need to. That is going to be a foul ball. Count goes to 2-1. Will Danberg, again, not always used as a batter, but he's been used in that fashion in this game and already has a walk to show for it. Trying to reach base a second time on a 2-1. And it's not going to happen that way. Swings and misses at a low fastball, and the count moves to 2 balls and 2 strikes. Stay tuned to after the conclusion of this game. We'll have post-game stats and full post-game coverage of game number 2 between Post-8 and Dickinson right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. That pitch comes in low. Count moves to 3-2, so a payoff pitch will be on the way shortly for Will Danberg. Doing a good job of extending this at-bat against Tibor. And he forces another walk. That's a 4-2, and that's the 2nd straight walk that Will Danberg has forced in this game. He moves on to first base, and Post-8 has a runner aboard with 1 out. That's a good start. So now the tying run is at home plate, and it belongs to Grayson Hunsley.
Bridger Babcock.
Or check it, Bridger Babcock is actually going to come in as a pinch hitter. So Babcock making his first appearance in today's doubleheader, subbing in for Hunsley. As Danberg thought about maybe looking at going to second, decided not to. Counts 1-0. So interesting that we're seeing a pinch hitter this early on in the game, all things considered. But obviously River Iverson feeling like this is the right way to go. There's a strike. Count moves to 1-1. Hudson Stosher is on deck, so no pinch hitter after Babcock for the moment. Danberg was really starting to motion towards second base for just a second, and the pitcher Tibor was keeping a close eye on him. Danberg had to retreat back. Tibor did a good job of not creating a balk in that situation. 1-1, now he does throw back to second, or rather to first. Danberg able to get back to the bag. It is 4:52 Mountain Time here in Dickinson, North Dakota. 5:52 back home in Pierre right now. Swing and a miss on that swing by Bridger Babcock. By the way, we will have NBA Finals coverage coming up later tonight, right here on KCCR and not on YouTube, but just on KCCR. So make sure to tune in for that. That'd be a heck of a thing. A KCCR Sports YouTube stream of the finals. Maybe one day. As that pitch goes inside, count moves to 2-2. Bridger Babcock with his first at-bat of the game. Haven't called his number a lot over the last 2 days, but he's always been a sneaky good player. Looking for his first hit of today's action. Last year with a .211 average, .211 slugging percentage, 8 hits, and a .348 on-base percentage for Pierre. Facing a payoff pitch, and he's going to drive that one into left field for a base shot. So Bridger Babcock gets the job done. A payoff pitch, 1-out single to left field, and Pierre just like that with 2 runners aboard. Will Danberg moving on to second, Babcock at first. That'll send on Hudson Stosher, who has been an interesting case today. It's been as curious of a case as Benjamin Button. He's reached base twice on hit by pitches. Of course, this will be a new pitcher in Christian Tibor, so maybe new results. We'll find out if it's good or bad for post 8. Oh man, almost again. And it's getting a little crazy how it keeps happening to Hudson Stosher of all people. As that pitch was high and inside, and Stosher had to back away. I'm sure it's just pure coincidence, but it's just wild the frequency that it's been happening. It's almost like he's got a magnet in his helmet or something, with the baseball just wanting to head right to him. Count moves to 2-0 for Stosher, who would rather, I'm sure, get on via a walk if he has to get on without a hit. And he may be on the verge of doing that right now. Count is 2-0 here at DCB&T for number 16. And Stosher lets this one go by. It's a good call. Pitch came in low from Tibor, and the count moves to 3-0. The tying run is at first base for post 8, with the leading run currently at home, as there's a discussion on the mound between pitcher and second baseman right now, as Camden Kubis wanted to talk things over with Tibor. Tibor initially was the catcher in this game. Obviously, he's been moved to the mound ever since. 3-0. And that's ball 4. Good call by Hudson Stosher. Didn't aggressively swing at it. And once again, the bases are juiced for Pierre. The second time in this game that has taken place. And now we're going to see the Roughriders call upon a new pitcher. Looks like they've seen enough from Christian Tibor. He ends up pitching just a third of an inning here in the top half of the 5th. So we'll see what Dickinson can do with whoever they bring in from the bullpen. If they do indeed decide to do that, it looks like the head coach was motioning for a second, but instead it appears he's actually going to keep him out there for now, at least until they can get somebody warmed up. unless they have a plan to move somebody around, which we have seen before in this game. Maybe move somebody who's currently a position player, put them at the mound. A lot of ways that the Roughriders could handle this, and looks like they are going to keep Tibor out there for the time being, but you wonder how much of a leash he'll have with just one out and the base is already loaded. And the next man coming up for Pierre, a pretty significant challenge. Trevor Rounds, as a matter of fact, is the man who's next up. Has already reached on a fielder's choice today and grounded out to the pitcher in his second at-bat. Bases loaded, Cameron Tibor, or Christian Tibor, in the heat of the moment for sure. As the count goes to 1-0 here for Tibor. That's 5 straight balls pitched from Christian Tibor. Trevor Rounds has a chance to tie this game right here with one big swing. Maybe even take the lead, and instead it's a hit by pitch. Caught him on the right side of the back, and a run's going to come in for Pierre. We've got a one-run baseball game. So a hit by pitch avoids Hudson Stosher, but it catches Trevor Rounds, and coming home is Will Danberg. So Danberg comes in. It's a 4-3 game, and now it looks like Dickinson will indeed make that pitching change. So that leash, we were wondering how long it was. It was not long, and Christian Tibor will have to head back to the dugout, it appears, and the new pitcher about to take the mound for the Dickinson Roughriders with just one out and a one-run baseball game here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. So we'll see who the new pitcher is in just a moment. Roughriders have already used 4 different pitchers in this game. Balliet, Price, Wolf, and Tibor now. Tibor with a third of an inning pitched, Balliet with 2, Price with 1, and Wolf with 1. As we've got the next man in the order, Nolan Peterson, coming up for Pierre, who's already gotten 2 singles in this game, so makes it an even better time to make an adjustment. If you're just joining us here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports, Post 8 trying to win their 4th game in the last 24 hours, taking on the Dickinson Roughriders here on the road. Down 4-3, faced a 3-0 deficit early on in this game, but they've made some headway here in the top of the 5th. Just brought in a run on a bases-loaded hit by pitch, and now they've got a realistic chance to take the lead in this frame, but that'll be easier said than done.
Number 8, Easton Hugo.
Against a new pitcher for the Dickinson Roughriders, and it looks like it's going to be number 8. And that, if that is indeed number 8, will be Easton Hewlin. So Easton Hewlin, or Huglin, will be the next man up. My apologies on the mispronunciation. So Easton Huglin is the man on the mound, taking on Nolan Peterson, coming in for Christian Tibor. And Hugler's got a big task ahead of him, trying to keep Pierre at bay with a bases-loaded situation, down by just 1 run. Opportunity is knocking for Nolan Peterson and Post 8 right here to deliver. We'll find out shortly if they can do exactly that. 1 away. Fastball is going to be outside. Count moves to 1-0. Remember, Carter Shufflebein is the man on deck for Post 8 in this situation. Nolan Peterson, the last thing you want to do really is ground out into a double play or something like that in this spot. Lets this fastball come by, and it comes in for a strike. Hugler so far looking pretty stout. Fastball looking good against these Post 8 batters so far. He's got 1 2/3 innings pitched on the season, as this one is going to be fouled back by Peterson, and the count will go to 1-2. Hugler with 4 earned runs given up, 1 strikeout. So in a limited sample size, he hasn't had the best results, but again, it's a very small sample size, all things considered. That pitch is going to curve outside, and the count goes 2 balls, 2 strikes on Nolan Peterson. who's been maybe the most consistent batter for Pierre in this game. If he gets another single like he's had before, he'll tie this game and maybe then some. Let's see if Peterson can do it. Hugler, the pitch, it's high, it's ball 3. So now Nolan Peterson with a payoff pitch on the way. If he can force a walk, he will tie this game at 4 apiece. Big moment for Peterson in post 8. Maybe a bigger moment for Easton Hugler. 3-2. And it's high for ball 4. Another walk forced by Pierre, and we are all tied up in Dickinson. As the man to come home for post 8 is Bridger Babcock. Babcock on to home. We're tied at 4 runs apiece. And a big RBI for Nolan Peterson. He's on base for the 3rd time today. We are notched at 4 here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. So now we go to the top of the order, and that means Carter Shufflebine with the bases still juiced and just 1 out. There's a big strike for Easton Hugler. Count goes to 0-1. So post 8, who was down 3-0 after the first inning of play, has buckled down and really turned this game around. As we're approaching the late stages, here's a drive into right center field. It gets down in front of Kyler Kungra, and a run's going to score for Pierre. Almost 2 is coming home for post 8 will be Hudson Stosher, and we've got a 5-4 baseball game on an RBI single from Carter Shufflebine. You knew with a talent like his, it was just a matter of time before he delivered in this game. That's exactly what he did right there. He's been quiet in today's doubleheader, but quiet no longer. 5-4, Pierre on top as Carter Shufflebine changes the complexion of this game and keeps the bases loaded with 1 out. Sutton Sunshine will be the next man up, as now Grayson Hunsley, Will Danberg, and Hudson Stosher have all come home. Trevor Rounds will be the next man to score for Pierre. Nolan Peterson's at second. Carter Shufflebine's at first. Hugler trying to stop the bleeding as the pitch is in there for a strike. Count goes to 0-1. 5-4 Pierre advantage on the Brittany Shufflebine American Family Insurance scoreboard, which has completely changed in this last frame. 0-2 count. Pitch high. Count goes to 1-2 for Sutton Sunshine, who already has an RBI double in this game. Let's see if he can go double or nothing in his 3rd at-bat. They're going to change the count to 1-1, actually, as a matter of fact. Here's a ground ball up the middle, picked up by the second baseman. There's one chance to turn a double play, and they do. Nice work by Jack Price. Got it over to Cam Wolf, and a double play for the Dickinson Roughriders. Takes care of Sutton Sunshine. But it does not stop the fact that Pierre put up 3 runs in the top half of the 5th inning, highlighted by a Carter Shufflebine RBI single. Post 8 in control on the road, trying to sweep the doubleheader here on Friday against Dickinson. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Since the day First Fidelity Bank first opened its doors for business in 1905, we've served the credit and investment needs of this area. The money that's deposited with us is reinvested locally in the form of loans to area families, farms, and small businesses, where it can help create new opportunities for everyone in our community. First Fidelity Bank. First-class banking on a first-name basis. Member FDIC, an equal housing lender. Online at ffb-sd.com.
Want technology solutions you can trust from a neighbor you know? Comtech, locally owned and serving Pierre and surrounding area since 2009, is dedicated to keeping your home, farm, and business connected and secure. We offer a full range of services, from audio and video, security, surveillance, and networking, with expert installation and support. Visit our storefront, call us at 605-224-4066, or visit our website, comtechplus.com, to experience the Comtech difference. Comtech, your local technology experts.
Welcome back to Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark in Dickinson, North Dakota. Dylan Simmons on the call with you here on this Friday afternoon. Glad you're joining us here on KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station, as your post-8 baseball team is on top. But here's a high fly ball deep to left field over the head of Ridge Linebaugh, and it's going to be out of here. A leadoff solo home run shot by Kyle Kudra. And he makes it a 5-4 game for the Dickinson Roughriders. as he blasted that ball away from the pitcher Porter Hunsley and sent it all the way out to the Missouri River. It is now a 5-5 baseball game as one swing has completely turned this game on its head. So Post State had just taken the lead in the bottom half, or rather top half of the fifth, and Kyle Kudra able to change things in a hurry. Here's a fly ball out to left. It's going to land in foul ground as Leinbach can't do anything about it. Jake Balliet, the man at the plate right now. Brady Hecker currently on deck for the Dickinson Roughriders. But what a massive change of pace as Kyle Kudra able to completely turn this game around, and now the count at 0-1. It is stunning if you're a Post State fan, but Pierce dealt with adversity like that before. They've just got to find a way to not let it define their game. 11 combined hits now between these two teams in game number 2. Ground ball to second. Stocher's got it. Throws on to first base, and Terwilliger cleans it up for a 4-3 and out number 1. That is Kyle Kudra's first home run of the season for the Dickinson Roughriders, and it couldn't have come at a better time for a team that was on the ropes and has been outscored 5-2 in the last 2 innings so far. One man who could also help change that is Brady Hecker. Fires in a fly ball to center field, and Trevor Rounds right there to clean it up for out number 2. Nice work by Rounds to camp underneath that. Second straight time Hecker's flown out to center. Sends on Cam Wolf, who's also flown out to center today and struck out swinging. This his third at-bat against Porter Hunsley, who's still on the mound for Pierre. They've used just 2 pitchers in today's doubleheader. In game number 1, it was the Will Danberg show, who pitched a 3-hit complete game shutout. As this pitch is fouled back, count goes quickly to 0-2 for Wolf, or rather 1-1, as this bottom of the 5th could be over in a flash, but with the score tied, we'll find out shortly if Cam Wolf can extend it. He's got Malachi and Medina currently on deck. Here's a drive into left. It's going to get down in front of Leinbach for a base hit. Cam Wolf on to first easily with a 2-out single in the bottom half of the 5th inning, and he will extend things for just a little bit longer. So Malachi Medina, the next man up, and he's been a game changer as well. Got a 2 RBI single his first time up, and has done a great job as the first baseman in this game for his team. Now with 2 outs and a tie game at 5, leading run is at first base. That pitch almost made contact. Here's a throw back to first, and almost able to get the man on base. Cam Wolf was the catcher Nolan Peterson. Tried to go as quick as he could to Terwilliger, just not able to turn that out. So the count is 1-0 for Malachi Medina. Pitch is low, and the runner's taking off. Here's the throw to second. It's not going to get there in time, despite the laser-fast reaction time of Nolan Peterson. Able to steal second base is Malachi Medina. And Dickinson now with a runner in scoring position, and the count at 2-0. Kevin Olson is on deck for Dickinson, as here's a fly ball to right, and it's going to land right in the glove of Sutton Sunshine, no problem. But a solo home run shot from Kyler Kudra ties this game up at 5 runs apiece. We've got a good one brewing here in Dickinson, North Dakota, as we head to the top of the 6th. Don't go anywhere. These two teams will do whatever it takes to claim victory. Back in 1.
Hey, yo, Speedo's Lawn Care.
Hello. Say, my yard's in rough shape. It's got weeds, brown spots, and crabgrass.
Yeah, no problemo. What shade of green you need? We got 31 shades of green over here. Even the latest shade of septic tank grass green. That one just naturally gives off a glow.
Call the professionals at True Green. They know how to get your lawn healthy and keep it healthy. They guarantee it. All technicians are trained and certified.
Call True Green, 224-1916.
When you're looking for quality trash pickup services, look no further than Envirotech. 6 days a week, their trucks are on the road picking up trash, even holidays. They're also the place to contact for recycling services. Their friendly, professional staff is ready to assist with weekly pickups or even special pickups. Check out the website at envirotechwaste.com. Envirotech is locally operated. Call 224-4804. Envirotech Waste Services in Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Welcome back to Post-State Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. This has been a sensational second game of today's doubleheader between Pierre Post-State and the Dickinson Roughriders here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark, former and current home of the Badlands Big Sticks. My former home ballpark with the Big Sticks back in 2023. It's been a bit of a nostalgia tour coming back here, and it's been a lot of fun calling in this beautiful ballpark today. And we've been graced with a great second game between these two awesome Legion baseball teams. And with this thing still yet to be decided, there is a lot of fun yet to come. Cooper Terwilliger will lead off for Post-State here in this top half of the sixth inning, followed by Ridge Leinbach and Will Danberg. 3, 4, 5 due up in the order for Pierre as they look to find a way to retake the lead after a solo home run shot from Kyler Kudra tied the game up in the bottom of the fifth just a second ago. At least 2 innings left to decide it. Will Post-State take the doubleheader sweep, or can Dickinson get some measure of revenge for game 1 and get their own victory here at home to break a 3-game losing streak? Hugler still on the mound here. Easton Hugler, that is, for the Dickinson Roughriders. Count goes to 1-0 for Cooper Terwilliger. A lot of pitching changes in this game. Hard to keep up with every one of them, but it's the same personnel, at least for the moment, as that pitch comes in for a strike. Count moves to 1-1. Terwilliger waiting on the 1-1 and fouling this one to the right side of the ballpark. Count moves to 1-2. Again, 5 pitchers used by the Dickinson Roughriders in this game. As this ball is sent up into foul ground. Chasing after it is the first baseman, and making a nice catch is Wolf, who's able to get out number 1 on Cooper Terwilliger. Good job by Cam Wolf to locate that baseball. Gets a big out, and that'll bring on the next man in the order in Ridge Leinbach, who had somewhat of a whimper as far as an out his last time up, at least by his standards. Grounded out to short. Usually you expect something even crazier or more spectacular in these situations, but wasn't quite the case. Not the end of the world, though. Gets another chance right here. Lets this pitch go by, and the count goes to 0-1. After Leinbach, it'll be Will Danberg on deck, who's been a real thorn in the side of pitching for Dickinson in this game. Count's going to go to 0-2 as Leinbach fouls that one back. Top of the sixth moving quickly so far, which is not what Post-State wants to do. They want to extend this out as far as they can, put some runs on the board, and put the pressure on the Roughriders, if at all possible. Because it feels like momentum is in their hands at the moment, and Leinbach is going to see to it that momentum goes right back to Post-State with a left field 1-out single here in the top half of the sixth inning. Great work by Leinbach, and that's exactly the kind of hit that you'd expect him to get in this spot. Seems almost automatic for a player of his pedigree, and he gets the job done. So Leinbach is on to first with a 1-out single. That'll send on Will Danberg, who's had 2 walks in his last 2 trips to the plate. And Danberg's looking to add to that awesome collection right here. As that pitch is going to come in for a strike. Count goes to 0-1. So apparently there is a new pitcher on the mound that we didn't account for earlier. That is Easom. We thought that was an 8, but it was actually a 6. Thought for sure it was an 8 on the uniform, but checking Game Changer, they're labeling it as a 6. Here's a fly ball to right field that's going to be caught easily by the second baseman, Cam Kubas. And that will be out number 2 as they're able to retire Will Danberg on that popped up ball. For better or worse, we'll just say that whoever's on the mound for Dickinson in this situation is doing a pretty solid job of holding Post State at bay. The pitching has just been all over the place. It's been hard to keep up with. There's been a million substitutions and a lot of different pitchers on the mound. Here's a ground ball to right. This is Grayson Hunsley, or Richard Babcock rather, who watches it go into the hands of Cam Wolf for a 4-3 putout. And that will send us to the bottom half of the 6th inning with your score still 5-5 between Dickinson and Pierre. We'll find out what happens in just a moment. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
When life throws you a curveball, May Adam Law Firm in Pierre is here to help you knock it out of the park. For over 130 years, we've been providing trusted legal expertise in business, family law, criminal defense, and more. Proud sponsors of this season's baseball action, we're committed to serving our community both on and off the field. Need legal advice? Step up to the plate with May Adam Law Firm. Visit mayadam.net or call today. May Adam, South Dakota's law firm since 1881.
With any dream, the wind won't always be at your back, the sun won't always be shining, and some rain is going to fall. American Family Insurance is like a good solid roof that you can trust to protect your biggest dreams. With plans that could save you up to 23% when you bundle your home and auto. Also, you can continue to dream fearlessly, no matter what comes your way. American Family Insurance.
Visit mfam.com to learn how discounts may apply to you. American Family Mutual Insurance Company assigned its operating company, 6000 American Parkway, Madison, Wisconsin.
Contact the Brittany Shufflebine Agency, LLC, 224-6627.
Welcome back to Post State Baseball on KCCR YMCA, blaring out over the loudspeakers here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. As we've reached the bottom half of the 6th inning with your score still 5-5. It appears that Porter Hunsley is still on the mound as that ball is chopped foul by the leadoff man in this frame for the Dickinson Roughriders, Kevin Olson. Count goes to 0-1. 5-5 baseball game. Bottom of the 6th, and you know that Dickinson would just love to add a run here, really take back momentum, put themselves firmly in the driver's seat the rest of the way. There's another foul ball. Count will move to 0-2. This is actually a pinch hitter, it looks like, for the Dickinson Roughriders. Don't see an 18 labeled on our current starting lineup. Don't know if that was announced. Here's a ground ball to short. Throw on to first is going to be in time for a 6-3 putout. Nicely done by Carter Shufflebine. Able to retire the hitter. And that was a big shot on the number 1 man to lead things off here in the bottom of the 6th.
Will Eason.
As Will Eason will be the next man up. And there's no 18 on the Dickinson roster, so I'm not sure who that was just at the plate, as there's a ball delivered to the left side. So the count goes to 0-1. Again, apologies on that last hitter. I don't know who that was, but there's no 18 on the roster for the Roughriders. So again, it's been one of those days, just some confusing stats and different things that we thought were the case that weren't the case. But we do know that this is Will Eason, who is currently at the plate, who's got a 1-1 count against Porter Hunsley, a pinch hitter. And there's a strike. Count goes to 1-2. Nice job by Porter Hunsley, trying to recapture the fire that he's had for so many points in this game. The 1-2. This ball lifted to foul ground. Chasing after it is Terwilliger, and he makes the catch near the Pierre dugout for out number 2. Great work by Terwilliger to locate that baseball and not lose his balance on the turf, which can sometimes, for better or worse, be slippery.
Number 12, Camden Kumet.
So the next man up will be yet another pinch hitter. So Dickinson is throwing out the kitchen sink strategy, for lack of a better term. Ground ball to short, Shufflebine there. He'll throw on to first, and Terwilliger is able to nab it out of the air to get out number 3 as they retire the pinch hitter. That sends us to the top half of the 7th inning. Your score remains 5-5. Pierre trying to get one more up on Dickinson to bring this one home. We'll be back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Looking for your next new or used car, truck, or SUV? Then go no further than the comfort of your own home. Shop online at lambmotor.com. On lambmotor.com, you'll find the vehicles Lambs has in stock. You can schedule a test drive or your vehicle's next tune-up all online. New or used, shop for it all online anywhere you are. Lamb Motor has the right vehicle for you. Lamb Motor in Oneida and online, lambmotor.com.
No one likes to have electrical problems, but when they happen, call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. With over 28 years of experience, Todd's Electric can handle any type of electrical problem, whether it's residential, commercial, or agricultural. Their knowledgeable staff knows and understands the importance of your home, business, or ag facility and are prepared to help. Call Todd's Electric at 223-2518. That's 223-2518. Todd's Electric, serving the Pierre and Fort Pierre areas. The line to power.
Welcome back. This is Post-Day Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We've reached the top half of the 7th inning, and it appears there is a new man on the mound for the Dickinson Roughriders as we approach what could be the final inning of play here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark on this Friday afternoon. 5:22 Mountain Time here in Dickinson, 6:22 Central Time back home in Pierre. And Post-8, they will get on the bus soon, and they are hoping that they will be returning home with a win, but that'll be easier said than done against this Dickinson team, which has been ferocious in their efforts to hold Pierre at bay here this afternoon. Hudson Stosher to lead off, 7, 8, 9, due up in the order. We'll see if River Iverson wants to use any pinch hitters, as we've seen Dickinson use late in this game. Trying to get confirmation on who the new pitcher on the mound is. Doesn't appear that there was an announcement made as far as I can tell. So we'll make sure to keep an eye on that as it develops. Looks like it's Kevin Olson, it appears, who is on the mound, at least for the moment. We will make sure to confirm that for you. Count will be 1-0 here on Hudson Stosher. Again, we've seen no shortage of pitching changes for Dickinson. It feels like the entire roster has been on the mound at some point in time in this game, and they haven't always been clear as to when the pitching changes have been made, so it's been tougher to keep track of that. Count goes to 2-1, and it is indeed Kevin Olson. So Kevin Olson, the man on the mound, taking on Hudson Stosher. That we know for sure now. As the count goes to 2-1 on Stosher, Trevor Rounds is the man on deck. Nolan Peterson waiting in the wings as well. That, of course, barring any pinch hitters that River Iverson wants to use. Yesterday against Spearfish, Pierre delivered with some great late-game consistency, and they need that kind of play once again to close this thing out. And that's going to be a good start. A walk forced by Hudson Stosher. Leadoff walk against Olson, and that'll put a runner on first for Pierre.
Number 32, Trevor Rounds.
So Trevor Rounds will be the next man up. He got hit by a pitch in his last at-bat, and now he's got an opportunity to possibly bring home Hudson Stosher if he can get a good enough handle on this baseball. Olson trying to keep him at bay by any means necessary as the ball skips into the catcher, and Malachi Medina had to do everything he could just to keep that one in front of him. Count goes to 1-0 for Medina, who's now subbed in as the catcher after playing a couple of other positions today. Counts 1-0. Bunt shown, Rounds made contact with it but fouled it. And the count is now 1-1. So just enough contact by Rounds to make it a foul ball. That's one he probably would have rather held back on, but he was looking for the bunt. Right now, Pierre's trying to do anything they can to get that one run on the scoreboard. They think that could be enough. They can get Stosher into scoring position. So don't be shocked if we see another bunt right here. Throw back to first as they're unsuccessful in taking out Hudson Stosher. But Olson was keeping a close eye on him. Any sort of leadoff has been attempted to be snuffed out by Dickinson in this situation. Count is 0-1. Olsen fires in a fastball, bunts laid down, but it's fouled. And the count will be 0-2 for Trevor Rounds. Nolan Peterson is on deck, and he's had maybe the most consistent day of anybody here so far. 2 for 2 with a walk. Those 2 hits, both singles. Despite the multitude of pitchers he's faced against Dickinson in Game 2, it has not deterred him from success. Count is 1-2 as the wind picks up here in western North Dakota. The 1-2 is high for ball number 2. So Trevor Rounds facing a 2-2 count, doing a good job of extending this at-bat. His patience has been paramount late. Pierre with 5 total hits in this game, but the 5 runs to show for it. They have opportunistically taken advantage of the situations they've been put in. Had the bases juiced a couple times, and there's a great catch by Nolan Peterson over towards the Pierre dugout as the ball bounced off the backstop. He grabbed it with his right hand. Might not be a bad football player, Nolan. Put him at receiver some point, Coach Steele. Counts 2-2. Olsen fires it in, swing and a miss. And Trevor Rounds comes up short in this pivotal moment. Did everything he could to get a handle on that baseball, but that was a tough pitch to deal with. Nicely done by Olsen. He gets Rounds swinging, and that sends on Nolan Peterson. Already has an RBI single in this game. But it would never be more important of a time in this game to get one than right now. Hudson Stosher still at first base, and now you really probably can't go with the bunt strategy, although they're going to try. Peterson trying to roll his way to first. He's not going to be able to get there in time, but the bunt does its job. Hudson Stosher moves on to second, but the question you have to ask yourself is that the best way to do it right now when you've already got 2 outs in this spot? So that's what Pierre will have to try to figure out, but you do have the top of the order on the way. Carter Shufflebine's coming up for his 5th time at the plate in game number 2. 2 away. The leading run is currently at second base and in scoring position for post 8. It's up to you, Carter. Watches the fastball come by from Olsen. Count goes to 0-1. All the noise from the past couple days, everything you've thought about, it kind of goes away in this moment. It's just you, the baseball, and the pitcher, and you trying to swing for the fences. And for Carter Shufflebine, it's that kind of zone and that kind of mental space that he gets into so well, better than so many others in the American Legion baseball sphere. And that's what he's trying to find right here against Olsen. Throw back to second. The ball rolls into center field. Misfire, miscommunication, and a missed opportunity for Dickinson. And moving on to third unabated is Hudson Stosher. What a turn of events, and a runner at third for Pierre. And that's exactly the kind of mistake that Dickinson had to avoid. Now the leading run for Pierre is 90 feet away from scoring, and the job becomes that much easier for Carter Shufflebine as the Roughriders coaching staff will have a discussion on the mound to talk things over with the pitcher, Olsen. That is really the last thing you wanted to have happen in that situation, is a self-inflicted mistake that makes it even tougher to deal with Pierre in this situation, but that's exactly what Olsen did. He rushed the throw instead of patiently waiting for the shortstop Price to come over, and it cost him in that spot and allowed an easy opportunity for Hudson Stosher to move into the hot corner. So now Carter Shufflebine, all he needs is one solid hit, and he will bring home the leading run for Pierre. 1-1, swing and a miss, and the count goes to 1-2. So now it's sudden death for Carter Shufflebine, facing a 1-2 with 2 outs. Pierre trying to take the lead here on the road and get the doubleheader sweep in Dickinson. The 1-2 pitch, and it's outside for ball 2. So now a 2-2 count for Carter Shufflebine, who's delivered in these situations before, did it against Sioux Falls East 10 days ago. Can he do it again? Lets it go outside for ball 3, wisely done. So now a payoff pitch, and you have to know that Olson's going to be looking for that strike zone. We'll see if he can get it in there. He's going to have to contend with the wind. He'll also have to contend with Shufflebind. Payoff pitch. Check swing, and that's going to be a strikeout. Carter Shufflebind taken out swinging, and a big strikeout for Olson here in the top of the 7th inning. Pierre, despite putting a runner on third base, comes up empty, and the score remains 5-5. We're on to the bottom of the 7th. A chance for Dickinson to walk Pierre off when we come back in 1 minute's time, right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
Financial investments are very important, but so are the investments of time, patience, and encouragement our young athletes receive from their coaches, teachers, and mentors. Your Pierre area Edward Jones Financial Advisors understand this. That's why Edward Jones is a proud sponsor of Governor Athletics on KCCR. Go Govs! For all your investment needs, call or stop by one of our offices to visit with your Pierre area Edward Jones Financial Advisor. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Stolken Peterson LLP has been your local CPA firm for over 40 years, offering tax preparation, bookkeeping, payroll, and consulting services. If your business, farm, or ranch needs professional, accurate, and reliable services, we are your firm. Our clients are our #1 priority. If you need a higher level of accounting service, give us a call at 605-224-5828. That's Stolken Peterson LLP, 222 East Missouri Avenue in Pierre.
Welcome back to Post-Day Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. This is the bottom half of the 7th inning in a tie game, 5-5 at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. Pierre trying to find a way to victory against the Dickinson Roughriders. Porter Hunsley is still on the mound at a total of 78 pitches, so he's not quite at the pitch limit yet, but he is getting closer, trying to take it to Jack Price, who is leading off for Dickinson in this frame. #1 man in the order, now facing a 3-0 count. All Dickinson needs is 1 run to walk this thing off at home. And that's inside for ball 4. The handle kind of losing itself with Porter Hunsley. So moving on to first on a 4-pitch leadoff walk will be Jack Price. We'll see if he's able to capitalize in this situation, but the game-winning run is currently at first base. Kyler Kudra is the next man up. He got a solo home run shot on Hunsley in his last at-bat, and you can bet he's itching for another one. Count goes to 0-1. Kudra trying to capitalize, though, on the moment and make magic happen twice in a row. Curveball is in there for a strike. Nice job by Hunsley. Brings the count to 0-2. Still no outs here in the bottom of the 7th. Runner at first is Price. That pitch a little bit low. Count is at 1-2 here at DCB&T. The wind is picking up. The temperature has dropped. It's in the high 50s now in Dickinson. 1-2 pitch. Here's a ground ball to second. Stoscher's there. Throws to second for 1 out. Chance to turn a double play. And safe at first base, just barely, is Kunra. Somehow got there in time. Pierre arguing their case, but it'll be an argument they do not win. So Kunra is able to make it, but they do get the out at second on Jack Price. So Price retired. Kunra reaches first on a fielder's choice. 1 away here in the bottom of the 7th. And that sends on Jake Balliot. Or Balliot, excuse me. Pops this one up on the left side, and it lands in the crowd. Souvenir City here at DCB&T. Count goes to 0-1. Balliot has 2 singles in this game already in his first 2 at-bats. Grounded out to second his last time up. Counts 0-1. Off-speed pitch. Breaking ball's a little high for Porter Hunsley. Counts 1-1. Pierre's only used 2 pitchers today at DCB&T. In the first game, it was coast to coast for Will Danberg. Here's the throw to second, as stealing second base will be Kyler Kundra. Able to get the stolen base on the missed throw by Nolan Peterson. Was just a little bit wide, and it allows Kundra to capitalize, but the count now at 2-1. And the winning run is now at second for the Dickinson Roughriders. They just get that much closer, and now a 3-1 count as Hunsley is starting to lose the handle maybe just a little bit more. That wind becoming a little more aggressive. The exhaustion wearing him down just a little bit more, but he's not backing down. Fires in a strike, count goes to 3-2. So the payoff pitch soon to be on the way. We'll find out soon if Kundra can capitalize, and time was called just before the pitch by Balliet. Three-two, one away. Swing and a miss, and a big strikeout for Porter Hunsley, maybe the biggest of the game thus far. He hasn't had a lot of them, but he gets it that time and gets, more importantly, out number 2 here in the bottom of the 7th. Resets the count and brings on Brady Hecker. Hecker flew out to center his last time up. One of the best batters on the team flies this one out to center field. Rounds is there, camps underneath it for out number 3. And we are not done here at DCB&T. We've got extra innings on the way. Top of the 8th coming up next between Pierre and Dickinson. Back in 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We'll see if my voice can last the entire way.
Swing for the fences with a great deal from Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota in Pierre. Whether you need a powerful truck, a fuel-efficient sedan, or a spacious SUV, they've got the perfect lineup to keep you on the road and in the game. Don't strike out. Stop by today or visit CapitalCityFordToyota.com. Capital City Ford Lincoln Toyota, where the best deals in town are always in play.
Building a home. It's the biggest investment most of us make in a lifetime. Not to mention it's a decision that, well, you pretty much live with day and night. The quality of the workmanship stares back at you like a reflection. It also affects the value of your investment. Choosing the right contractor is critical. Kruger Contracting is that contractor. Call 222-2523. Quality workmanship and materials completed on time. Kruger Contracting. In a word, quality. Call 222-2523.
Welcome back to Dickinson, North Dakota, the Western Edge, as they call it. Dylan Simmons here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. We got a fun one, folks. Top of the 8th inning, extra innings between your Pierre Post-A baseball team and the Dickinson Roughriders. Sutton Sun and Shine to lead things off here in this frame. Olsen still on the mound for the Roughriders as Pierre tries to find their way to a doubleheader sweep. This has been an epic clash between these two. Both teams held scoreless in the 6th and 7th innings. 2, 3, 4 due up in the order for Pierre to lead things off. Olsen fires in a ball here as the count goes to 1-1. Sutton Sun and Shine entering Thursday's game against Spearfish, doubleheader against Spearfish, with a .280 average, 7 total runs. He has increased that tremendously with his play this weekend as the count moves to 1-2. And you can bet that that bus ride back, he wants that to be as sweet as possible. Same goes for the rest of this Pierre Post-A baseball team. It's not exactly an easy ride. It's a 4.5-hour drive from Dickinson to Pierre, so you want to make sure you're coming back with 2 wins. 2-2 count. And that's going to be a strike. So it's now a 3-2 count. They put a strike up prematurely earlier. Payoff pitch on the way for Sutton Sun and Shine. Remember, he had the lone RBI single in game number 1 for Pierre. And he's going to drive this one into the gap in left center for a base hit. And Sutton Sun and Shine lead things off with a bang here in the top of the 8th with a single. Runner aboard for Pierre. That'll send on Cooper Terwilliger. That is exactly what the doctor ordered, as Terwilliger and Ridge Leimbach will be the next man up, 2 of the best hitters that Pierre has at their disposal. And now Sutton Sun and Shine. The leading run for Pierre is aboard and 270 feet away from getting to home plate. Let's see if Terwilliger can get him closer. Olsen fires in a fastball. Bunt laid down by Terwilliger. It's a good one. Throw by Olsen to first is in time. Advancing to second is Sutton Sun and Shine here in the top of the 8th. 1 down. Terwilliger retired on the 1-3 putout. It'll send on Ridge Lineback, but good bunt by Terwilliger nonetheless. Gets the job done. And now we've got Lineback with a runner in scoring position in Sutton Sunshine. This is where Ridge Lineback thrives, folks. One away. Olsen, fastball, lifted high in the air towards the right side. It's going to be a tough play, but oh no, it's dropped by Kubis. The second baseman got over there and had the ball in his glove, but couldn't hold on, and the count goes to 0-1. A missed opportunity on Ridge Lineback, and that's a guy you do not want to give a lot of second chances to, folks, because he will make you pay. So now Lineback with the 0-1 and a big opportunity to capitalize on this new chance at life. Let's see if he makes the most of it. Olsen, fastball, driven towards left. Good play by Price. The shortstop throws to third. The ball gets away. Sunshine stays in the hot corner. That could have been even more disastrous than it ended up being, but Ridge Lineback is on to first on that exchange. Price decided to try to take the lead runner at third, and it looked like the third baseman wasn't quite ready in that situation. And now Pierre with runners in the corners after that Lineback swing and still just one out. So it wasn't quite the bang that we usually get from Lineback, but it's a successful play nonetheless. And now 4 errors for Dickinson in this game. If they do end up losing here at home, it's those kinds of mistakes that are going to come back to haunt them. Lineback reaching on that error. Now Will Danberg to the plate. Swings and misses. Count goes to 0-1. So the strongest part of the order has now been taken care of / put on base. And this is where Pierre's going to have some guys who maybe haven't had the most shine in the batter's box this year step up in a big way. But Will Danberg has been good in this game. As the count goes to 1-1, popped up to second his last time up. He has forced 2 walks in this game. Got a 1-1 pitch on the way from Olsen. Lineback takes off. He wants second, and he'll get there without a throw. So Dickinson didn't even want to contest. In that situation, you don't want to make things any worse than they could end up being. If that ball gets into center field, it's going to score Sunshine easily. So better to just hold off sometimes. Now 2 runners in scoring position in a tie game. Danberg checks swing. It's going to be a strike. Count goes to 2-2, and that's one that Will Danberg will probably want back. Sunshine clapping him and urging him on despite it. This team plays with a great sense of togetherness, and they're showing it right now. 2-2 pitch. It's high and outside for ball 3. So how about it? Another payoff pitch for Will Danberg here in the top of the 8th in extra innings against the Dickinson Roughriders. Trying to bring home 1 or 2 runs to take the lead. Danberg lets it go by, and the catcher, Medina, is, well, let's see here. It's a ball, so it's going to be ball number 4. So Danberg will make his way on to first. We didn't get an official call there for a second, but they did come in late and call that a ball. So now the bases are juiced for Pierre as Danberg reaches on a 6-pitch walk, and that'll send on Bridger Babcock. Bases juiced, 1 away. Fastball from Olsen, put right in the zone. Count goes to 0-1. Olsen has done his best to handle Pierre's best, but right now on the top of the 8th, he's in some trouble. Swing and a miss. We'll see if he can dig himself out of this precarious position. That'll move the count to 0-2. Bridger Babcock came in initially for Grayson Hunsley in this game, grounded out to second his last time up. Here's a ground ball to first. Throw is going to be to home plate. That's 1 out. Throw to first is not going to be in time, so Pierre will have a runner at first. Bridger Babcock reaches on a fielder's choice, but Dickinson did the right thing. They took the lead runner, which was Sutton Sunshine. He's retired. Base is still loaded for Pierre, but now you've got 2 outs, and the score remains 5-5. So Sunshine comes up unsuccessful. Lineback's now at third. Will Danberg is at second, and Bridger Babcock at first. Hudson Stosher to the plate. Pitch from Olson, swing and a miss, counts 0-1. If Pierre cannot come up with a run here in this top of the 8th, it's going to be a bitter pill to swallow in a game that feels like it's theirs to lose right now, especially when they have bases loaded with 1 out, but it may be a chance that comes up empty. There's another strike from Olson. Count goes to 0-2. Boy, he is really firing in that fastball right now, making life hard for Hudson Stosher at the plate. So a massive 0-2 pitch, maybe the biggest of the game. And it's strike 3. Olson steps up, as does his defense. And despite bases loaded and 1 out, post 8 comes up empty in extra innings. And Dickinson, once again, in the bottom of the 8th, will have a chance to walk off Pierre. We'll be back in just 1 minute right here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. You better not touch that dial.
Becky Potsaba and State Farm Insurance are here to help you with your insurance and banking needs. State Farm's not just insurance. It's banking, investments, IRAs, loans, and a whole lot more. We offer guidance in a personal and caring way that helps you manage the risks of everyday life, recover from the unexpected, and find ways to control costs so you can realize your dreams. We know how life is, and we're here for you. Stop in to see Becky at 1315 East Wells Avenue in Pierre, or call Becky at 224-4173.
Is it the competition that keeps bringing you back? The long-standing rivalries? Or is it seeing friends again and cheering on your favorite team? At First Dakota, we're here for it all. We appreciate the fans, the players, the coaches and officials, the concessions crew. The shared community experience is part of what makes life here great, and we're here for it. See you at the game. First Dakota National Bank, member FDIC.
Welcome back to Post 8 Baseball on KCCR. Boy, we've got a thriller, as Michael Jackson would say. 5-5 baseball game at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. In the bottom half of the 8th inning, in extra innings, it is the Dickinson Roughriders currently at the plate, trying to take out Pierre Post 8 here at home. What's been a good one so far. This is going to be a fly ball that will be fouled by Cam Wolf, the man currently at the plate, got a single his last time up. We'll see who will be following him. Looks like it's going to be Malachi Medina, so no pinch hitters at the moment for Dickinson. Always got to pause before you say that, just in case, because we've seen that today. Here's a ground ball to short, shuffle bind there. Gets it on to first, and Terwilliger cleans it up. 6-3 putout, 1 away here in the bottom half of the 8th inning. And this is a frame where Pierre Post 8's defense is really going to have to step up after having a massive missed opportunity in the top of the 8th, had bases loaded with just 1 out, and they couldn't deliver even a single run. But that's really more of a testament to this Dickinson defense and what they were able to do. That ball skips off the pad of the catcher, Nolan Peterson. Count goes 1-0 as Malachi Medina is at the plate. He got a 2 RBI single earlier on in this game, has also reached on a walk. He will pop this one up on the left side. This should be easy for the shortstop, and it is for Carter Shufflebein. He grabs it. That is 2 down, just like that, in the bottom of the 8th. So Kevin Olson was the man who originally was in this spot, but we've had a lot of changes since then, obviously.
Number 18, Kelvin Olson.
It is going to be Olson, Kelvin Olson, as a matter of fact. Yeah, it is Kevin Olson. My apologies, who's at the plate. He's listed as 8, though, on the roster page, but 18 here. Unless there's 2 different Olsons that I'm not aware of. Again, there's no 18 on the roster page. So we'll just say for now Olson to keep it safe. Counts 2-0. Again, 2 outs. Post 8 in this tie game at 5-5. Both teams with 6 hits. The big thing that's kept Pierre in this game outside of their hitting prowess has been the 4 errors by Dickinson. That has cost them on a few different occasions. But right now, both teams just unable to put this one away. Counts at 3-0. Can Olson deliver? He's going to end up getting walked, and that'll send him on to first base. So 4-pitch walk delivered. by Porter Hunsley, who's getting close to that pitch limit and may have just reached it. River Iverson making his way out of the dugout, as he has been pitching all the way through this game, and you know at some point he's going to get close to that 105 mark. He entered the inning with 98 innings pitched. Looks like for now this is not going to be a pitching change, maybe just a discussion from River Iverson. And it looks like Hunsley will stay out there. He's now officially at 100 pitches, according to Game Changer.
Now batting, number 8, Easton Hugler.
Easton Hugler is the next man up, as he will pop this one up into the air. This should be easy for post 8. And no, it's not gonna be, as Nolan Peterson had it in his glove and could not secure the catch. Count goes to 0-1. Missed opportunity for post 8 right there. That's one that Peterson makes a lot, but he just couldn't bring it in that time. Hugler with an 0-1 count and 2 outs. Here's a fastball, and it's going to get away from Peterson and roll to the backstop. Advancing on to second on the wild pitch is going to be Kyler Kundra, who made it on a fielder's choice initially earlier on in this frame, which it's been a pretty long top of the 8th now, all things considered. Jack Price started it off with that walk, and Kundra, of course, capitalized later on. Count goes to 1-1. If you're just joining us here on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports, this has been a fun one. Where have you been? You've missed out on a heck of a baseball game. Counts at 2-1. And that pitch finds the zone just barely for Hunsley. Counts 2-2. Has maybe a pitch or two left to work with. We'll see if he can end the 8th inning on his terms and take out Olsen. The 2-2. Here's a liner that gets into center field for a base hit. This could walk off the day, and coming around is Kundra. He is going to score, and that's it. Game over. Dickinson wins 6-5 in extra innings. They walk off Pierre with a walk-off shot from Olsen. What a sensational game. What a great game played by these two teams. Unfortunately, only one could win. And for post 8, that just so happens to be the Dickinson Roughriders, who fought back from a lot of adversity, being down in the late stages of this game, and found a way to persevere late and grab a win. But what a doubleheader by these two teams. A masterclass of pitching in the first one and a back-and-forth slugfest in the second game. A lot of great stories to be told about today's doubleheader here at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. And I'm sure a doubleheader that will be remembered for a long, long time to come. We're going to take a quick 2-minute timeout. When we come back, we'll have your KCCR Sports post-game show. We'll recap the stats from the game and other stories surrounding today's doubleheader. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 2 on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports.
For over 60 years, Ferding Electric has been powering homes and businesses across central South Dakota. When you need reliable electrical service, trust the experts with decades of experience. Whether it's a simple residential repair, a complex commercial installation, or even electrical work on your farm, Ferding Electric has you covered. And if you're tired of searching everywhere for that hard-to-find bulb, Ferding Electric carries a wide selection of bulbs, including those hard-to-find fluorescent and specialty options. Visit us at 2903 East Elizabeth Street or call today, 605-224-8684. Venture Communications has deep roots in rural South Dakota. Venture now proudly provides fiber to the home with 100% of our customers, enabling them to enjoy super fast and reliable internet connections. We'd like the opportunity to keep you in touch with the people and resources that matter most. 100% fiber and 100% committed to rural South Dakota. Call Venture Communications today at 605-852-2224, 605-852-2224, or online at venturecom.net.
At Shane's Pharmacy, your health care is important, and Shane wants to be the pharmacist to take care of you. Shane's Pharmacy will make sure your prescriptions are filled in a timely manner, they will answer your questions, and they will even deliver to your home or office. Call 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy, the pharmacy you know and trust. The number again is 223-9200. Shane's Pharmacy in Fort Pierre, proud to support high school athletics.
Yag Air Incorporated is your locally owned ag chemical and seed retailer. Yag Air Incorporated offers reliable ground and aerial application. For the latest seed and chemical pricing, contact Kyle at 605-280-8710 or Tony at 605-280-4771. Yag Air for all your ag chemical and seed needs. Kyle 605-280-8710 or Tony 605-280-4771.
Welcome back. This is Post-State Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Your final score of the second game of our doubleheader today, 6-5 in favor of the Dickinson Roughriders over your Pierre Post-8 baseball team. Let's go over some stats from today's action. We'll start with your Pierre Post-8 players. Carter Shufflebein had a hit, run, and RBI in this game. Also 2 walks forced. Sutton Sonnenschein with 2 hits and an RBI as well. Ridge Leinbach ended up with a hit and a walk forced in this game. Will Danberg forced 3 walks overall and suffered a couple of hit-by pitches as well throughout this game. Hudson Stosher also on the receiving end of that with 2 runs. Trevor Rounds with 1 RBI. Nolan Peterson with an RBI and a walk forced in this game. 9 walks forced total by Pierre, but unable to keep up with the Roughriders offense. A big day for Kyler Kunra. Ends up with 2 hits and 2 runs, as well as an RBI in this game. Jack Price ends up with a hit, run, and walk. Ballot ends up with an RBI, 2 hits, and a run as well. Medina goes with 2 RBIs, 1 hit, and 1 run in this game. Cam Wolf with 1 hit. Christian Tibor also with a hit. And Easam ends up with an RBI and hit as well for the Dickinson Roughriders. The Roughriders used a total of 6 pitchers in this game, with Kevin Olson, number 22, officially getting the win. He went 2 innings pitched with no earned runs given up and 2 walks issued, 3 total strikeouts for him, 4 strikeouts for Dickinson in the game. Pierre ended up with just 1 pitcher, Porter Hunsley, who did a sensational job for the most part, just had a few things go awry and couldn't quite get the timely stops when they were needed. He ends up giving up 6 earned runs, 10 hits, 2 strikeouts total, and 6 runs total in 7 2/3 innings played as Pierre falls in extra innings by a score of 6-5 here on the road at Dakota Community Bank and Trust Ballpark. Well, thank you all so much for tuning in on this Friday afternoon. Hope you've had a great time. And if you want more Post-8 baseball, don't worry. We will be back on Tuesday night in the capital city as Pierre Post-8 takes on Sturgis in South Dakota Legion baseball action. We'll have coverage right here on KCCR. First pitch is going to be at 3 o'clock with coverage starting at 2:45, so don't miss it. I will be on the call for those games. Should be a fun time. Hope you tune in. As for tonight from Dickinson, North Dakota, that is going to do it. So for Jen back at the station and all of you listening in at home, I am Dylan Simmons saying so long, where your final score in game number 2 is Roughriders 6, Post-8 5. This is KCCR Pierre, a Riverfront broadcasting station. We'll see you later, everyone. Have an electric night.
You've been listening to Post-8 Baseball on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports. Post-8 Baseball is brought to you by Comtech, True Green Chemlawn, Edward Jones Financial, Overhead Door, Todd's Electric, Shane's Pharmacy, Jaeger, AGE, First Fidelity, State Farm Becky Pottseva Agency, Capital City Ford, Lincoln, and Toyota, Oahe Federal Credit Union, Missouri River Dentistry, Dakota Sprinkler and Landscaping, Agtegra, Ferding Electric, Envirotech, Kruger Climate Systems, Stalkin Peterson LLP, Wagner Auto, the South Dakota Office of Attorney General, Division of Consumer Protection, Gales Gas, First United Methodist Church, Karsten Erickson Roofing and Construction, Beck Motors, May Adam, American Family Insurance Brittany Scheffelbein Agency, Lamb Motors, Bank West, CHS River Plains, Faith Lutheran Church, Graham Tire, Kathy Sunshine Properties, Venture Communications, and the American of Fort Pierre. Join us all season on KCCR and on YouTube at KCCR Sports for more post-8 baseball. This has been a special presentation of Riverfront Broadcasting.